3,000 years ago, a prince stole another man's wife. And for her, 1,000 ships sailed across the sea to burn a great city to the ground. It is the most famous war ever told. And until little more than a century ago, no one could prove that a single word of it was real. Welcome back to the Ember Tales, where we hold the world's oldest legends up to the light of real evidence. Tonight, the war that gave us our greatest heroes, and the question that has haunted it for 3,000 years. Did it truly happen? It began with a stolen wife. Helen was the most beautiful woman in the world, and she was already a queen, married to a powerful Greek king. Then a prince of Troy named Paris took her for his own. He carried her across the sea, behind the high walls of Troy. One stolen queen, and with her a fire that would burn for 10 long years. To take her back, the kings of Greece swore a blood oath. They gathered the largest army the world had ever seen. 1,000 ships, tens of thousands of warriors, all of it for one woman. And at the head of that army walked the deadliest fighter who ever lived. Achilles, the son of a goddess, dipped as a child in a magic river until no blade on earth could cut him. For 10 years, the two sides broke against the walls, and neither could win, because Troy had a champion to match him. Prince Hector, the one man brave enough to stand against Achilles. The gods themselves took sides, and still the great city held. Then the two greatest warriors of the age finally met. Achilles and Hector, face to face beneath the walls, with both armies watching in silence. Achilles won, and the beating heart of Troy's defense died with Hector. Hector was dead, and still the gates held. Strength alone had failed. So the Greeks turned to a trick the world would never forget. They built a giant horse out of wood and sealed their finest soldiers inside its hollow belly. Then they left it at the gates of Troy like a gift and vanished over the horizon. A gift with an army hidden in its chest. The Trojans believed they had won. They hauled the great horse through their own gates and feasted late into the night, never knowing they were celebrating their own end. The men who would burn Troy were already inside its walls. In the dark, the soldiers climbed out and threw open the gates. And Troy, the city no army could break in 10 years, fell in a single night. Undone by a gift it had carried inside its own walls. It is the greatest story ever told. A stolen queen, godlike heroes, a city brought down by a wooden horse. And to the modern world, that is all it was. A story, because there was no proof that any of it was real. No city, no walls, no Helen. Only the songs of a blind poet named Homer, from a world full of gods and monsters. Then one man went looking for a city that was not supposed to exist. He read the poem like a treasure map. It pointed to a low hill on the coast of Turkey. And that quiet hill was hiding a city. Not one city, 9 of them, stacked one on top of another, built and burned and built again, across more than 3,000 years of history. And one of those buried cities fit the legend perfectly. A rich and mighty city of broad streets and tall towers, standing right where Homer said it stood. And this city had been destroyed. Its walls scorched black, bronze arrowheads buried in its streets, food sealed away, as if for a long and desperate siege. This was no fairy tale. This was a city that had fought a war and lost. But the final proof did not come from the ruins. It came from the records of a forgotten empire, the Hittites, who wrote everything down in clay. On that same coast, their tablets named a city. They called it Wilusa. And Wilusa is almost certainly Ilios, the other ancient name for Troy itself. And one Hittite treaty names a king of that very city. His name was Alaksandu. In Greek, that name becomes Alexandros. And the prince who stole Helen and began the war carried a second name of his own. Paris Alexander, a real city. On the right coast at the right time. Rich, mighty, and burned in a great war. The legend had a heart of solid stone. So was there a war at Troy? Almost certainly. But a Helen whose face launched 1,000 ships, and Achilles no blade could cut. That Homer kept to himself. Perhaps the truth was 100 smaller wars, woven into one perfect story. And the wooden horse. Some believe it was never a horse at all. Perhaps a siege engine. Or an earthquake in a land of earthquakes, blamed on Poseidon, god of both the shaking earth and the horse. A blind poet sang of a war the world dismissed as a dream. And beneath a hill on the coast of Turkey, that dream was standing on solid stone. Homer had not invented Troy. He had remembered it. So what do you believe really happened at Troy? A war over a stolen queen, a great city brought down by a wooden horse, or something no one has guessed yet? Tell us your theory in the comments below.